Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. It's not a second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Hello everybody and welcome to the return of the Radical Race Series. This is round one from Road America to kick off a very American first part of the season here in the Radical Race Series. What a season it was at the first part of 2023 though. In the end, Simon Edwards was claiming another title just ahead of John McHutchison and Luke Maxwell. This time, who will it be? Sprint and feature formats return again for all of the races as far as we know for season 2 of 2023. And the point system staying the same with 3 drop rounds as well. But there's a lot more that has changed than that. We've ditched the SR10 for now. And we're back to the old SR8s after the recent update. We're back with the older car. And it's brought out 23 of them onto the grid here in practice right now. And they're not far away from jumping into qualifying for the first time. My name is Ewan O'Leary. I'm alongside James Parfitt once again on the JPB YouTube channel. It's great to be back, James, for another Radical Race Series season, because what a time we had earlier this year.
Oh, last year was some of the best racing we have ever seen in a Radical League. It is unbelievable. And then last 2 rounds at Brands and Nordschleife, well, we just had everything. We had thrills, we had spills, we had championship winners, then they lost it. Then we had nobody else, and then we had a winner, and then they lost it. And it was just a bit of everything, and it was just crazy. I'm really looking forward to this season. Hopefully, they may stick with the SR8, but as we know, there is a possibility that they're going to go back to the SR10.
Yeah, I think we'll know by this time next week which car we'll be using for the majority of the season. But this is based on nothing but speculation, but I have a feeling that it could well be this car that we stick with. Because it does seem to be a bit more popular than the other one was, in all honesty, and so that might well be the reason for it by the end, but we'll wait and see. Of course, lots more things changing than that. The fact that we're going to sprint and feature formats only in Season 2 of 2023, I think is, well, I don't really have too much of an opinion on it, to be honest. I didn't mind the endurance rounds of last season. I certainly don't mind the sprint and feature rounds, but it's top 10 reversed for the feature races once again. So it will be a familiar format, even if we are having a lot more of them this season than what we had. And to be fair, for the majority of last season, we had that format as well, and it did produce good racing, so I don't think many will be complaining about that either.
No, definitely. I love the sprint and feature format. I think the fact that they brought it back is amazing. They've done away with the endurance, which isn't too much of a loss. I'm not really that worried about the endurance rounds. I think this format that we're looking at, the sprint and feature, had it all. And I think that overall, it was probably the best format. I think that for this series, and I'm really looking forward to how they get on and with this, and really hoping, you know, that they do stay with the SR8. And well, we know we got the sprint and feature all year, so that's incredible.
Certainly is, and yeah, certainly looking forward to that. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what the schedule is like, by the way, next week we're going to Zandvoort, but that's the only European round in the first 7 weeks of this season. After that, so it's all American races basically, including this one here at Road America. Then we've got the only race in Japan, the only race in Asia as well, that's Suzuka. And then we'll be going to Spa. Bathurst is making another appearance. I think it must be the 3rd season in a row or something like that now. It's very popular. Not as popular as the Nordschleife though, that comes last again. And sandwiched in between then is the Imola circuit. We do get a good variety of circuits here. I think the only odd ones that we've not seen too much of in recent times is Barber Motorsports Park. That's going to be a different one, and a very tight and twisty circuit that is. Virginia International Raceway full course is quite a long one as well to put in there. So a couple of odd ones, but it's a relatively familiar schedule. These cars will basically race anywhere, really.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. The schedule itself, obviously we follow along with the officials. So Road America, Zandvoort, Sebring, Barber, Watkins Glen with a boot, Virginia International, Daytona International Speedway. Of course, that's the Roval. Good evening, Darryl Taylor, Mike Buson, Phil across the pond and Callum Milam. Welcome in. And we all love Bathurst anyway. So I think to finish off with Bathurst is just incredible. To bring it back onto the series again in week 10 is incredible. And then, as you say, we last and as per normal at the Nordschleife.
The usual finale, and let's hope we do get a championship finale as well. Yeah, a big hello to everybody who's tuned in, as well as Martina Ward, who's also here, driving and talking in the YouTube chat. So there we are. Hopefully not at the same time. Mike Pearson, unfortunately, not racing today as far as I'm away.
No.
And so yeah, he should be back next week. But he's very disappointed. I think he was looking forward to the SR8s, to be honest, and why not as well. But yeah, unfortunately, Booston out for this round. As we mentioned, though, won't matter too much for the championship if it's too early to talk about that, because we do have 3 drop rounds returning once again. Now, we're not going to have quite such a palaver as we had last season, because we do have all sprint and feature rounds this season, which will make things a lot easier on us. And the format is the same as well. 25 points for a sprint race win, 40 points for a main race win. Top 20 get points in the sprint race, top 30 in the main race. So we are going to have a little bit less of a palaver in the final few rounds, trying to work out what's going on, because every round should be the same. Although it'll be interesting to see what happens at the Nordschleife round, whether we get a sprint and feature race or whether we do get a longer form finale. I have noticed in the schedule on the website that you can all access on radicalraceseries.co.uk is a TBC, and that might well be to be confirmed for quite a few months yet. So we'll see what happens there. So first of all, we've got to have a championship finale by the time we get there, which is more important.
Can you imagine a sprint race of 3 laps at the Nords and then a feature of 5?
Good.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Martina, if you're listening, just put it out there. Obviously, the SR8 is back, and Bruce on there with some very happy, smiley faces. Unfortunately, not on the grid this week. However, this man has returned. The one, Mr. Colin Wynn, has returned back to the SR8 and is back on the track in the moving matters livery there as well. So it's great to see Colin back. I think that's... he's definitely feeling better then, and hopefully everything will be fine. So, but he is back on track, which is amazing to see.
I think Paul LeMay is always here. Michael LeMay, I think, is back again after I think he had a little bit of an injury towards the end of last season.
Paul LeMay.
I can't quite remember.
Paul LeMay.
Paul LeMay.
Paul had the injury. Yeah, Paul had the injury. Michael was on track, and obviously we've got the new guys here. Joined us, Paul Godden, of course, from Sim Stickers. They are one of the sponsors here this evening, so you can go and check them out, along with HBE Automotive. And, of course, Paul Clark from iLounge Racing is back once again as well. So you can go and get them, and you can go and see them. All the links are down in the description directly to the website. So please go and hit them up, and a massive shout-out to them guys, obviously, for being here and sponsoring this evening's racing. So that's iLounge Racing, HBE Automotive, being represented by Dan Webster, and Paul Godden of Sim Stickers, who's there literally in a full Sim Stickers livery, who you cannot mistake because it's just Sim Stickers everywhere.
Absolutely. We're going to have a bit of trouble with some of these liveries in the first few rounds, I'd imagine. I was learning where everybody was and who everybody was towards the end of last season. But that's not happening anymore, or it's not going to. I'm going to have to start afresh once again. Although most of the liveries, I think, are pretty similar to what we had last season. It's a real combination of Dan Webster, Luke Maxwell and Simon Edwards right now as to who has got the best time and who has got the purple sectors. Webster in 1 and 5. Maxwell, I think that's 3. Edwards at 2. Not sure who's got the... well, it keeps jumping around. Everybody keeps going a little bit quicker. Paul Crabb's up there as well, doing a decent lap time. But I think it is going to be Dan Webster who comes across the line first. And I believe just has. I think he's going to set the benchmark if it counted. It didn't count, I don't think. I don't think that counted because he's not up there.
No, he's got an off track.
That must have been an off track. And it is quite a long circuit. But there is, of course, 3 laps and 10 minutes once again for you to get back round and start another lap. And that's what he'll do.
No, I'm sure he will go around and do it again. Now, we have got Brian Loynes, tell me about Sim Stickers. Well, Sim Stickers provide stickers for steering wheels, keyboards, button boxes, all to do with your sim racing. So if you've got a steering wheel that you haven't got, or you want a map, or you want to put a button on it, you can put a button on it, and Sim Stickers will provide stickers for you to tell you what that button is. Okay, so basically that's their main aim. Obviously on button boxes it's the same thing, so you can see what you're saying, you know, what you're saying, if you're saying thanks or sorry, or you want to move your brake bias forward, or on your steering wheel. That's what they do. They provide stickers for your button boxes, your keyboards and your steering wheels, and they come in all different shapes and colours, and you've got the new fluorescent series that are available as well, so you can go and check them out, of course, on simstickers.co.uk, and they will be there if you're interested. If you've got a blank button box and you need stickers to go on it, go and check out simstickers.co.uk, and they will have you covered there for all your needs regarding your items. So there we go. Brian, hope that was all right.
And if you want to map your buttons, maybe to say something a little bit more grizzly, then go ahead.
Yes.
But we don't condone that. Just don't get banned.
See, I've got very passive-aggressive messages, right? Because I find myself, you know, I'm not talking anymore. I don't go on voice chat. You know, there was an incident, and let's not talk about that. So I set mine up messages, and I've got like, thanks, you're a great human being. If somebody lets me pass or something like that, you know, and then there's just no words can explain your driving, you know, and that sort of thing. So, you know, stop getting yourself in trouble and banned. You can be a little bit more passive aggressive and not have to worry so much. But we have got Luke Maxwell on pole on a 157.86. Paul Crabb, Simon Edwards, Robert Woodward, and Colin Wynn has just improved as well. So there we go.
Colin Wynn was running well in practice, actually, and seemingly having a good time of things in qualifying as well. I think that's Paul LeMay who's up into third as well, just ahead of Simon Edwards, who seems to be struggling a little bit to get to grips with this new car. He's got a 58.2 right now. That's Patrick Charlton, who's jumped up the order, as well as Wayne Palmer. We go on board with Paul Clark here, who's a little bit further down the way you'd expect to see him, but this may be a result of the SR8. Might see a little bit of a shaking up of the order compared to what we've seen in the past couple of seasons, because of the I think past 3 seasons we've been using the SR10 now, but that's all changed. The final few corners now with Paul Clark, the penultimate corner, and setting up for the final corner, which is one of, if not the most important on the circuit for setting up your run to the line, especially on a qualifying lap. Will set you up for the next lap as well, and they'll be running quite close and quite down on the time here, with just under 3.5 minutes to go, but they only get 3 laps anyway. Paul Clark gets up to 6th place and not too far behind him. The leaders are going to come up towards the line. Robert Woodward is trying to go quicker right now, but so are the likes of Luke Maxwell, Paul Crabb, who have both got purple sectors on their current laps. Luke Maxwell's got 2 of them, although he's been going slower in a couple of places as well, so we'll see if this one just extends his lead out any further. He might not need to do this after all, but we'll see as Dan Webster goes to the top. He certainly does need to improve Maxwell, and he does by going over the line there. That's Paul Crabb going over the line into 2nd place. It's all very close, and those are the 3 who were setting purple sectors, really. And they're all in the 57s for now, so looks like Maxwell has just got enough and might well be taking pole position here.
Yeah, it looks like he is flying along on a 157.5, 1 tenth quicker than Paul Crabb, of course, 2 tenths quicker. Oh, JB Bird just goes into 3rd on a 157. Dave Rollison moves up as well into 8th place. So, and then of course we've got good old Damien G. He's back, of course, back on track again this season, as he normally is. I wonder what takeout he's eaten this week, as Damien G is a lover there as well. So Damien G back on track. It's great to see him there from the Radsport Sim Racing team here this evening as well. And he's currently down in 22nd place. Is he going to improve as he goes across the line? As we wait, he does. He goes up into 17th. He does. He improves.
Yeah. Finally, just about 17th place for Damien G, and 23 on the grid, as you can see. There's Martina Ward jumping up to 12th, and this could be a big improvement from Paul Clark as well. A number of green sectors here, and there may well be time to find. Doesn't need very much to even get inside the top 5 here. Over the line for Clark, and it's going to be only 9th. It's a little bit of an improvement, but it's only 9th, and he wedges himself in the number of drivers who have done a 58.3 or around there. But they're all a good 8 tenths away from Luke Maxwell. Interesting, though, that we've got the whole top 10 within a second of Luke Maxwell at the front. That is a quite incredible record to see at the start of a new Radical Race Series season. I think these guys have been enjoying this reversion back to the older car. And it's certainly kept things very, very close indeed. Big grid to go through today, and Luke Maxwell's at the top of it. Paul Crabb alongside him with Jamie Bird. Dan Webster in 4th with Paul LeMay rounding out the top 5. Reigning champion Simon Edwards is in 6th place out of Colin Wynn. That's Patrick Charlton inside the top 10 here in qualifying today, along with Paul Clark and David Rolleston sharing row 5. That's Robert Woodward and Martina Ward, who are just around a second down. Then Phil Glover, 13th. Great qualifying from him. Seth Brown has got into 14th ahead of Paul Godden. Then it is Wayne Palmer, can't read. Darryl Taylor and Damien G share row 9. Then it's George Gonzaga and Dave Kirkman rounding out the top 20. Phil Justin, Sergio Cruz and Michael LeMay round out those that qualified. Colin Campbell and Graham Brown did practice at least for a lap. I'm not sure if they'll be taking the grid and the green flag here today in this race. It does look like Graham Brown is. He's gridded up at the back. Not so sure about Campbell, who is going to be starting down there and 24th if he does at all. There is the new look for Luke Maxwell, though, and he'll be hoping to better what he managed last season, where he was oh so close to taking a title. The lights are on now for a new Radical Race Series season, and it's Luke Maxwell with a poor start. What a stormer that is! From Dan Webster back in the pack, who goes up to the front. It's 3 wide for second place already, and as LeMay goes through into second, it's all of a sudden 2 wide. They filter through with Simon Edwards on the outside of Maxwell. Pole sitter down from 1st to 6th already in this one. There's been incidents and accidents further back, I believe, involving Patrick Charlton. Martina Ward has been involved, possibly Palmer and Graham Brown as well, maybe. But, Seth Brown has probably been involved there. But it's nose to tail for the lead right now. Here we go, on the inside for Jamie Bird. And Dan Webster going through the middle. Here we go with him into turn 5. Side-to-side contact very nearly as LeMay goes around the outside. Still they go into turn 6. And up the top of the crest of the hill, around the outside for LeMay. And he has just about held on to the lead, and he'll secure it through turn 7.
Oh, what a start from Dan Webster. Absolutely flew off the line in that SR8 with him and Paul LeMay and Jamie Bird. There's still, there's a car in the air. Simon Edwards is up. Yeah.
Yep. Edwards, along with Paul Crabb as well, 2 multiple champions of this series. The only 2 multiple champions have collided at turn 8, and they're off the road. That's Paul Clark as well, who's gone off, and he drops all the way down to the back. This is a disaster for Simon Edwards, and at the very least, he's going to hope to get back inside the top 10 for the reverse grid.
Yeah, he's got to be looking at trying to get up there. I don't think he's going to make it to the top 10, partly because everybody else is looking very, very racy in this SR8 currently, and they are loving this car. Paul LeMay, Dan Webster, absolutely barnstorming, up 6 places between the 2 of them, and Dan Webster absolutely got a rocket start. He went through like an absolute banshee and just got all the way through. It was absolutely incredible start from them 2 there, and they're getting the gains there. Ewan are in 1st and 2nd place respectively.
Certainly are. The top 4 getting away as well. Well, the top 2 even getting away right now. There is Dan Webster, fastest lap of the race. No surprise there. He's got the lead of this one and not very far to hold on to it as well. Down towards turn 3 they're going to go. It's side by side as Maxwell gets up the inside of Jamie Bird. He initially dropped to 6th place, but Maxwell has done well to pick his way through the carnage, and at the start of lap 2 he's already back to 3rd, although the slipstream very powerful in these radicals. There's going to be a challenge for 3rd, but more importantly for the lead, as Paul LeMay looks to the inside. He won't go for it this time. Jamie Bird will, but he's not going to get anywhere on the outside line.
Yeah, there's battles all the way through this circuit. George Gonzaga is back on track again with us this year. He's battling away with Phil Jocelyn and Sergio Martinez de la Cruz. What one of the interesting things to note as well is Colin Wynn is also up one. He's sitting in 6th place, battling away with David Rolliston and Darrell Taylor, with Robert Woodward ahead of him up the road. Woodward's getting dropped by both packs. He needs to be careful which way he's going to go here, because he could end up going backwards faster than he's going forwards. But there was incidents at the beginning with Simon Edwards. Edwards is back in the pits, so he is in the pits, and we'll be able to have a look at that one right now while it's all settled down a little bit.
I think he might have had another incident on top of this. This was, he spins and then gets clattered. So Crabb wasn't involved. Paul Crabb wasn't involved. That was a separate one for him down at turn 8, I should say. And then that's Paul Clark on the outside line. Crabb gets going again. Clark's in the gravel. He gets, he's found the fence there actually at the carousel. But Simon Edwards there, I believe, is a lap down. He's just making his way out of turn 5. And the fact that his name is in blue suggests to me that he might have had to tow back to pit lane. And so he's a lap and a half off the field. No, that's probably not true, actually, because he's only 52nd off Damien G. And that looks about right. So he is on the lead lap, but he's miles away from the rest, and he's in for a very difficult evening. Yeah, I think overall from his point of view as well, he's going to have to just... I don't really know what he's got to do. It's that even in the consolidation, they've got 3 drop rounds. Maybe this is the first one for Simon Edwards here because of where we're at in the season. Dave Kirkman, of course, is battling away with Phil Glover. Glover there in that car in front of him. Darrell Taylor is up, mixed up with David Rolliston and Colin Wynn. As you can see, them guys come flashing down towards you now. There goes Rolliston on the outside here, Ewan. Is he going to be able to make this down into turn 5? He is. And through goes David Rolliston, but Wynn tries to cut back on him and gets it as he's going back up the hill into 6. Yeah, Rolliston just braking too late there down into turn 5, and so gets past again. Darrell Taylor very much on the back of Rolliston as well, but this is becoming a battle for 6th place, and they're losing the rest of them up the front of the field. This is a train that goes back to Phil Glover, who's hanging on to the back of it. 5 of them involved, and you can see further behind, there's all sorts of drivers trying to make their way through the order and back to the top 10, but they're not going to get there by the looks of things. All of these guys are, and they're just scrapping for points really inside this top 10 position. We're on board with Darrell Taylor now through the kink. Such a difficult corner, and such a corner that needs so much commitment in these cars, in any car really. With more slipstream down in towards Canada corner. Look on the inside from Rolliston. He won't go for it there on Colin Wynn. A battle for 6th place that looks like it could continue right to the end, because we haven't really got that long left. Martina Ward and Wayne Palmer here, of course, are mixed in their own little battle. Palmer behind there, chasing down on Ward. At one point, they were side by side. Paul Crabb's trying to come through. He's got Seth Brown for company. You can see Brown's got damage on the front right of his Radical, but it's exactly the same place as where Maxwell has got his. Maxwell's got damage as well on that front part of that SR8. As we can see, David Rolliston making the move past Colin Wynn. If we have a look on the front left of Maxwell's car there, he has got damage. You can see the grey area on the front right is sticking up a little bit. So he has got a little bit of damage from that early lap shenanigans at the beginning. Just a little bit, and that might be holding him back right now from a great practice session performance we saw from him, and a really good qualifying. Just seeing him at the pole position, the first of this season. There's another look from the inside of Colin Wynn there. Dave Kirkman locks up massively in towards turn 5 there. That's going to allow Phil Glover to close in again, but these 5 stay single file for now. And nearly 5 seconds, I think, around 5 seconds between the two groups right now. It's a large gap, and it's a growing gap as well as they continue to battle. Dan Webster also racing out to a bit of a lead and getting a gap of his own. Yeah, he definitely has. Paul LeMay sitting in 2nd place there. Paul LeMay, Maxwell, Bird, Woodward, Rollo. These are this front pack before we get into the Rolliston battle, I should say. We have Robert Woodward at the back of the field in the red car. Woodward is kind of getting himself into that no man's land, Ewan, where he's losing time in front, time behind, and he really doesn't really want to try and lose to these front pack. Maxwell is right out the back of LeMay at the moment. They're going round 13 as they lead round to the last corner there, turn 14, which is the last one on the circuit. And then, of course, they've got that mighty long straight. That straight is longer than my high street where I live, and it's absolutely incredible. And I think Maxwell could get this at the beginning of 1. looks like it. That damage, though, might be holding him back just a little bit. We don't know quite how much that's affecting him. And Jamie Bird's looking pretty good right now. Another fastest lap from him. And you can look to the inside at turn 1. He very nearly went for it there. He won't go for the dive, and Maxwell will be quite thankful for that. Through turn 1 they go. The pointless turn 2. Don't mention it. Into turn 3, and a very important exit coming up for Maxwell, and he's got all out of shape by the looks of it. And here comes Jamie Bird, who's going to have to suffer with the lack of slipstream, or is he? Because Maxwell has willingly given him one there. LeMay is going to get into the outside line by the looks of things and go for this. Let's see, late on the brakes from Jamie Bird. He's got a long way round, and he won't make it. Oh, my word, that was Robert Woodward all out of shape as well. Maxwell will hold on to the place, but it does look like that front end is acting as a bit of a parachute right now and preventing him from getting anywhere.
Yeah, Phil Glover is behind this Kirkman-Taylor battle. Kirkman went to go up the inside of 6. He's now put himself under the cosh from Glover, and it's going to be what can Glover do here as we look back at him there. There he is in his car, but that's what we want to see. We want to see the car in front of Kirkman on Phil Glover's eyes. This is what he's looking at right about now. You can see the pockets of battles on your left-hand side. Everybody is within a second, apart from 6th, all the way down to 11th. Then there's 2-second gap. Then we got Ward, Palmer, Charlton, Clark, Brown, Crabb, G, Godden and Edwards. It's all go everywhere across the race circuit currently at this moment in time, Ewan, and everybody is putting up a fight somewhere on track.
Certainly are. Even back here for 15th place between Martina Ward and Wayne Palmer. This is only for, 6 points at the moment in this sprint race. You don't get very many for being back here, and we are going to see, for the first time in quite a long time, some drivers finishing a race on the lead lap and doing well and not getting any points for it. Only the top 20 here in the sprint race. Everybody from the feature will at least get something out of this race, though. And right now, getting the most out of this one is still Dan Webster. He did get a bit of a lead there, but LeMay has just pegged him back a little bit. It was a personal best from him on that last lap. He's bringing Maxwell and Bird with him. Robert Woodward looks like he doesn't have enough to hold on, and he might well end up finishing this one in 5th with quite a gap either side of him. There's Paul LeMay, though. He's certainly closing. They go under the bridge, and Dan Webster will start to look over his shoulder.
Yeah, LeMay's closed him up. He's got down to a second as well. Bird has got Maxwell. Oh, has he got Maxwell? He's going to be looking on the outside of 5 again. Such a difficult circuit line to run. Oh, Maxwell's gone round.
Very close. Going all the way round. He's just about saved it and will recover to get 5th place without any problems in the end, really.
There's Michael LeMay, who locks up as well, going into 5. George Gonzaga was another one who was looking at the inside of Martinez de la Cruz there. Didn't quite make it stick. Colin Wynn has now got Darrell Taylor for company. Colin, unfortunately, seems to be going down faster than he's going forward. Currently exactly where he is, in 7th place on his grid slot currently at the moment. But he is dropping down the order. However, Kirkman is looking racy. Down in 9th place, up 11 places here tonight. Absolutely incredible.
Absolutely a great performance, and seen a number of them. If you can pick your way through the carnage, you can have a very good time of things. And here is Kirkman on the back of Darrell Taylor right now. This is the group that is very much more squashed together really than they are at the front right now because of Luke Maxwell's spin and a number of other things as well. We're on board with Kirkman heading towards the final lap now. Only 7 laps to kick this one off here tonight. Way less than 15 minutes. It's going to end up being more like 13 and a bit, really. But that's no problem for Dan Webster. He'll go over the line right now and start the final lap. It doesn't look like Paul LeMay is going to be close enough to challenge.
Taylor's gone round.
As Darrell Taylor's off for the final corner.
Yeah, Taylor went round there. It looked like he went too hot into the last corner. Martinez de la Cruz and Phil Jocelyn. It looks like, is he going to get Jocelyn down into turn 1? De la Cruz on the left-hand side in that very Matt Brown livery with Jocelyn on the right. Here we go. They're going to run round turn 1 side by side. They're leaning on each other. Oh, they're going to make it through 2. Gonzaga's going to make it through. Is he going to make it 3 ways? Not going to make it, surely. Oh!
Well, he very much tried to. And Jocelyn goes around the outside. And here comes Michael LeMay by the looks of things. Going to try and go for this. Oh, that was Jocelyn squeezing into an impossible gap. But he needed to try and get the slipstream of Gonzaga there just in front of him. Here comes LeMay down the inside. It looks like Jocelyn was struggling there, but he's right on the outside. And they're still going to be side by side up the hill now. LeMay with the inside line at turn 6, and it looks like he's, going to back out of it, and Jocelyn will hold on to 12.
Yeah, it looked like from LeMay's point of view, he made a mistake. He went over the curb on the entrance of 6, and that bounced him kind of all out of shape. And then he just dropped down. Unfortunately, lost some positions. Not lost some positions, lost some speed, and then just couldn't keep up with what was going on, unfortunately. But I tell you what, though, one man that is getting back on track is that Mr. Luke Maxwell on the back end of Robert Woodward currently at this moment in time. And I think this is going to be an interesting one to see how he gets on here, Robert Woodward, because that's not a man you kind of normally want behind you.
Not really. Here we go. Through the penultimate corner, and it's going to have to be a dive really for Maxwell. He doesn't really have the straight line speed with that little bit of damage to do this, and Woodward's had an excellent final corner, and that's going to be it for him. Further up front though, it's Dan Webster who's going to go across the line to win this one ahead of Paul LeMay. Jamie Bird will get his first podium of the season on the first day, with Robert Woodward and Luke Maxwell rounding out the top 5. In terms of battles that could be settled to the line, Michael LeMay is trying to gain on Jocelyn. He's in the slipstream for 12th place, and they are going to be side by side, are they? Not quite. LeMay stays behind Jocelyn, and he'll stay 12th, but that was a very good opening to the season in the end. Some high drama, especially at the start, and a close winning margin, but just half a second at the front.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible on the start. I want to see if we can get that back really quickly from Dan Webster's point of view here. If you can have a look at Dan in the middle there he is for the HP Automotive guy. Watches, there was a jump start from Simon Edwards.
So he must have come into the pit lane for a drive.
Look at that.
And there's the slide. That wasn't Maxwell, that was... who was that in the middle there? Was that Crab?
Yeah.
Paul Crab was in the middle there. Sliding all over the place.
But look at Webster's start. Amazing.
Yeah, I think Palmer was involved in this lap 1 incident here, a little bit further back. Wayne Palmer. You see a lock-up in the background actually already here at turn 1. And it must have all kicked off to the outside line, really.
Yeah.
Seth Brown was certainly involved as well in this one, but they're not showing. Gone to warm up, which is part of the problem, but there we are. Here come the results. Dan Webster by only half a second of Paul LeMay. Then it was Jamie Bird on the podium. Woodward and Maxwell in the top 5. David Rodston held off everybody to get 6th. Ahead of Colin Wynn on his return. Dave Kirkman is into 8th place. And Phil Glover and Sergio De La Cruz both inside the top 10 again. George Gonzaga just misses out, with Phil Jocelyn beating Michael LeMay to the line. Martina Ward just joining them at the end there, ahead of Wayne Palmer. Paul Clark recovered to 16th ahead of Patrick Charlton. Then it's Paul Crabb down in 18th. The big name missing out. Darryl Taylor and Graham Brown round out the top 20, with Damien G 21st. Phil Godden at the last driver within a minute. Then it was Simon Edwards, the last driver on the lead lap, and Seth Brown finishing 1 lap down. Colin Campbell not racing here today by the looks of things.
No, I don't think.
Despite practicing a little bit earlier. So that was race 1, and it was a good one.
Yeah, it was a great race to open up. And Scott Marshall, comms are fantastic. Thank you very much for the compliments here. That you are obviously with myself, James Parfitt, and Ewan O'Leary in the booth. So there we go. But that was a great race 1. I think Ewan Bramer summed it up. Great to see the SRA back on track with a full field. And it was, wasn't it? Deep down, there was some sentimental love for that car, and everybody loves this car. And, you know, to be honest, I wasn't a fan of the SR10 when they brought it out, and apparently I need to be less of a fan of it now, because by all accounts, it is quite a handful of a car to drive. So unless it's fixed, I can't see it coming back. But I do hope they stick with the SR8 this season. I really do.
Yeah, it has produced some good racing based on what we've seen so far. Yeah, I have to say, I do prefer the way the SR10 looks, by the way. It just looks a little bit sleeker and a little bit nicer, really, a little bit more modern. But then again, this has a bit of an old school look to it these days, and feel to it, especially on the inside as well, with what's becoming quite a rare round steering wheel, which is not seen very often anymore. So it is a bit of a throwback in some elements. But yeah, it certainly racing-wise, it has produced so far. Sergio De La Cruz will be starting this race from pole alongside Phil Glover. Then it will be Dave Kirkman and Colin Wynn sharing row 2 with David Roniston 5th. Luke Maxwell looking to do well there from 6th place with Robert Woodward, Jamie Bird, Paul LeMay and Dan Webster rounding out the top 10. George Gonzaga and Phil Jocelyn will round out row 6 with Michael LeMay 13th ahead of Martina Ward. Wayne Palmer's 15th with Paul Clark. There's Patrick Charlton, Crabb, Taylor, Brown, G,
Lights are on.
Edwards, Brown and Campbell to round out your grid. And we're already going for the lights. Somebody's gone already. I think it's Phil Glover as he gets underway now for the start of this race. Sergio De La Cruz has had a great start to this one. Oh my goodness me! It's chaos off the start.
And on the front.
Mid-pack, somebody's off on their roof already. And it's already off the road for Phil Glover and Dave Kirkman as well. Down in towards turn number 1. What on earth has gone on here at Road America?
Wayne Palmer, Michael LeMay, Martina Ward, Simon Edwards, Damien G, Paul Godden and Darrell Taylor all gone. Dave Kirkman involved as well. There's Simon Edwards, Darrell Taylor, Phil Glover and Wayne Palmer all in the pits. We will have a look back at that one starting very, very shortly. But here's the hustle bustle of this pack, led by Colin Wynn with Dan Webster, Robert Woodward and Luke Maxwell all involved as well.
Maxwell was very close to getting too late on the brakes there and causing another pile-up. He's on the inside line at turn 6 though, just behind Dan Webster. Somehow, Webster's already ahead of Maxwell. On the inside line for Woodward, who stays in front at turn 7. And now we look for LeMay, who looked at the inside there of Maxwell, wasn't able to do it. Jamie Bird and also Patrick Charlton fighting over 9th place. They single file out. Woodward still really, really loose on the rear end. He must have a setup problem there in terms of what he's actually put onto his car, because he's been sliding all over today. As we've got off the road, David Roniston out of the carousel. Roniston's off the road, he's back on again. Everybody has to avoid. I think they just about do, but it's scattered the field. Colin Wynn and Dan Webster now side by side. Dan Webster, after winning the first sprint race, is already into 3rd.
Yeah, he's already into 3rd place currently. It is reading that Jocelyn is on track. I'm not too sure it is at the moment. We might need to give this time a bit of time to settle down. But at the moment it is De La Cruz out in front here. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Phil Jocelyn. He did kind of disappear and then it all just kind of went wrong. We will try and catch what happened at the start. And I think it started here with Wayne Palmer. Let's have a quick look if we can now.
Here we go. So back in the mid-pack, I think someone's not going to start here. I think Gonzaga doesn't start here. You see the yellow and black car just up in front or something. He doesn't get away very well, and the driver in front of Palmer slows down.
There we go.
It's a big stack up, and there it is. So it wasn't Gonzaga who got launched. It's Simon Edwards who does the launching, and that is just a Skittles game. Barely over the start-finish line for race 2 of the season, and it's already gone dearly, dearly wrong for many.
Yeah, it definitely did there as well. Gonzaga didn't get a start. Michael LeMay locked up, and then all of a sudden it was pinballs behind him. But Paul Godden has just lost a place to Seth Brown. Okay, so we got Dave Roniston, Simon Edwards, David Kirkman in the pits, Phil Glover, Martina Ward, Damien G looks like he's out already. He got involved in that incident right at the beginning as well. There was a lot of things going on, and one of them was just complete and utter chaos. Normally I write them all down who was involved, but I've just put chaos. That's it for this time around, because there was a lot going on there.
Well, Phil Jocelyn is scored as our race leader right now, but that's not the case. He has been given an extra lap for whatever reason, so he should be a lap further down than where he is on the standings right now. So he should be about 20 seconds off the lead, wherever that would put him. He's out there somewhere on the circuit, as that's Maxwell down the inside of Colin Wynn, down at Canada corner. Not much space to breathe there with the gravel on the outside. We'll go side by side at the penultimate corner nearly, where there's even less space to breathe. Now Maxwell is going to be in a vulnerable position because of LeMay, because of Bird as well. They go through the final corner that Maxwell has not been so hot off this first race at least. Now he's got to get a good exit, and he has done. He's at the very least got the slipstream of the driver in front, And he'll look to the inside now. There we go. And this should be a move in towards turn number 1 sorted. There it goes. He's got that done with LeMay probably next in line to overtake Colin Wynne.
I think Colin's got to focus on trying to go forward. He's down 1. Phil Jocelyn, I'm not too sure why that's not resetting. There he is. He's reset down to 14th now. So Jocelyn has gone down into 14th. And at the moment it's Dela Cruz with Dan Webster behind him. And then, of course, this 4-way battle here with Maxwell, Wynne, LeMay and Bird all involved is great. Colin Wynne and Luke Maxwell contact.
Hear me, off the road for both of them. And Maxwell's going to have to come back on. He will get ahead of Wynne, I think, on purpose, really.
Yep.
Clark down to the outside, but look, there's damage to Maxwell's car again for the second race in a row. Maxwell may be struggling because of damage to his car.
Yeah, his wings bent up, his rear end's bent and everything at the moment. Robert Woodward and Jamie Bird. Jamie Bird's just ran wide. He's on. Woodward is now up into 4th. Dela Cruz is under a whole heap of pressure coming now from Dan Webster as he's coming in from the lead. Of course, Sergio Martinez, Dela Cruz there. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ewan, this is the first time Dela Cruz has led the race. He didn't lead any last season, did he?
I don't remember him leading at any point last season, so it might well be the first time he's led in quite a while. Don't forget, he was in the series before when we used the SR8s a good while ago. So looks like we first time leading in quite a while. Dan Webster on the back of him though, and Webster trying to go for the full 65 points today. It looks like they're very possible as well because Webster has got himself through the traffic really nicely. He's gotten himself a 1v1 with the leader. Over the line they go after 3 laps of 11. It's another fastest lap of this one with Webster backing off in towards turn number 1. He clearly wants to wait at the very earliest, for turn 5. Maybe he'll wait for later on in the race, but I somewhat doubt it.
No, I doubt that very much as well. I think he's going to have a go down on the run into 5. I just wanted to jump on board with Jamie Bird, who's going to make the move up the inside of Robert Woodward a free before he goes again. But this is where Sergio Martinez Dela Cruz could be under pressure from Dan Webster. Luke Maxwell, as we know, has had that incident and his wing and everything else, part of his car is bent up. He's still going in 8th, mind you. Dan Webster's not going to make it through this time. He's not going to get there. We've only literally lap 4. We're on 4 of 11, so he's not going to get him job done this time around. He might have to wait, unless, of course, he sends it on the run from the kink down into Canada corner.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gone for it just yet, but maybe realises that time is on his side here. He's got nearly 2 seconds. Luke Maxwell's off again, by the looks of it, or at least he's dropping places. I think he went for a move on Clark that didn't quite come off, and Colin Wynne's back past him again, and this is Graham Brown who's just behind him right now, not able to get through. Maxwell at least still inside the top 10, but he has really been through it today. For someone who's been running inside the top 10 all day, he's really been through it, and you only have to look at his car to see why.
Yeah, his car's very well beaten up. It's definitely had a bit of, how can I put it? It's had a ding-dong in its own right, should we say. The prize fighter of Luke Maxwell has taken what is necessarily known as a beating today in this race because his car is absolutely battered. And he's still managing to go, but I'm guessing it's probably not easy, as we saw Dan Webster, and then he's gone wide. Oh!
That was not a nice moment. Front wheels off the ground for a good portion of that, and thankfully it didn't go any worse for Dan Webster, but Cruz right behind him right now with LeMay just there as well. We go aboard with the driver in second place. We're getting a great slipstream here, and it does seem that he's got decent straight line speed, but that's the fastest lap of the race so far from Paul LeMay because of the fighting going on here. He might well get the slipstream, he might well get involved with this fight on the podium. Here we go through the all-important turn 3, and that's a very, very good exit from Webster. It looks like he has just given himself enough breathing space to hold on to this, at least for this lap.
Yeah, from Dela Cruz's point of view, he needs to tuck right up behind him. There is the previous lap history. You can see at the bottom of your screen, Webster has been quicker than Dela Cruz across the last 4 laps. but De La Cruz is not giving it up. He lost that position, he's still having a go, and with the fact that he's got LeMay right behind him currently at this moment in time as well, De La Cruz is under whole heaps of pressure. There is Paul LeMay. You can see him there. He's fighting that car at the same time, and I think from his point of view, he's got to be looking at whether or not he can get involved with this. LeMay is quicker over the first 3 sectors. Is he going to be quicker over the whole lap? Time will tell, but at the moment he is absolutely flying.
Certainly is. And a little bit of a different line from LeMay. You can see through the carousel. Just get some air on the nose. Just try and get that one turned in. It's an awfully long and painful corner, it is. And then into the kink they go. LeMay might even have a chance down here into Canada corner. This is very close as they wiggle through to the left a little bit, and it's going to open up on the right-hand side for Paul LeMay to go late on the brakes and very nearly make contact with De La Cruz, who gives him the room, and they'll still run side by side into the penultimate turn. It's a very long way around here, and they give each other plenty of room as well. Side by side again, inside line for LeMay, outside for De La Cruz, and he will lose the place, although this has given Dan Webster quite a sizable lead now.
Yeah, Webster's 1.78 seconds at the moment. There's a nice little battle behind Gonzaga here with Paul Clark under pressure from Luke Maxwell. Luke Maxwell under pressure from Wynn. Colin Wynn there in the Moving Matters livery. Luke Maxwell with a car that looks like he's battled Mike Tyson this evening on the feature race. He's still going. He's going to make that move. He's pulled out on Paul Clark. He's let him know he's there. Nothing given from the man that we know they called Super Wide Clark, and that is for a reason. But then again, look at Maxwell's car. There's damage on the back end of that car ferociously. You can see it. The left rear is bent up like an absolute trooper. How is that going to affect him? Is he going to be able to hold on from Wynn? Can he get hold of Clark? The next 5 laps are definitely going to tell us so.
Well, it's going to be a big job for Clark. Also for Maxwell, who goes late on the brakes on the inside and should have the place as well. Side by side up to turn 6 they go. Maxwell through as just in behind. That's Colin Wynn trying to recover and get back towards Maxwell again, who probably overtook him in the last few moments. But Maxwell's back up to 8th again, and it won't be too long until he's pressuring George Gonzaga either, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Maxwell, considering the fact, look at the state of that car. He's still doing an absolute barnstorming job. Colin Wynn is trying to get a hold of the pristine-looking I-Lounge Racing Paul Clark there, currently sitting in 9th place. Probably one of the few men that have got their car in a pristine state currently at the moment, considering the carnage that went on before we'd even got off the grid.
Oh, it absolutely was carnage. I think only 13 really got away unscathed out of all of that. And further down, you can just see the amount of drivers that are way off the back here at this stage in the race. Just driving around to pick up points, really. Simon Edwards as an example of them. Going to be picking up very, very few. Luke Maxwell heads down the inside of the final corner. He'll be back through. This is the advantage, though, of having 3 drop rounds, is that Edwards doesn't have to fret about this round too much. He knows that he'll be losing more than 40 points to Dan Webster today, you'd imagine, but he doesn't have to worry too much.
Yeah, Gonzaga and Maxwell. Gonzaga on the right-hand side, of course. Maxwell on the left. Gonzaga has made it through. I can't go a race without mentioning, if you do want to put your name on George Gonzaga's car, he's got space on the rear wing and on the side pods there. So if you do want to get hold of him and get your name on his car, go for your life. As you can see, he's a nice little battler. Runs around the midfield. Did have a win last season as well, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly could be mistaken on that one. But if you want to get your name on George Gonzaga's car, hit him up in the Discord, and yeah, I'm sure he'll allow you to put your name on it.
I think he had a podium at least.
Podium, wasn't it?
I remember talking to him. I don't know where he finished on the podium. I can't remember. So it could have been at least more than 3 months ago now. So you know, do forgive us. But he's up to 8th place now and having a decent time of things. Colin Wynn tries to get involved as well. Clark has he let Maxwell through by the things in the last few moments. So we've got Graham Brown and Seth Brown right together here. This is going to be a nightmare, but it's all over 8th position. And it's a good 5-car train. Maybe Gooden can get involved as well if they fight a little bit over the next 4 laps.
Gonzaga out of 3rd place at Brands. 3rd place at Brands Hatch. So there we go.
So in fact, it was about 3 weeks ago.
But basically,
so it wasn't that long ago at all.
No, but you know, when you look at racing every single week, it's a tough one. Bird and Dela Cruz are having a battle. Bird just go the other way.
Jamie Bird got a little bit out of shape, but not as much as Dela Cruz did, who goes to the inside at the final corner. That's going to be Luke Maxwell through as well. He won't have to go and grab the slipstream and make a move properly. He's just going to have to, keep going in a straight line here, I think, by the looks of things, although the speed difference is not quite as much as I thought. He's going to have to go to the outside line at turn 1, and that's an extra free position I think Maxwell wasn't quite expecting to get. I think he might have thought 7th place was the limit, but he's up another place as it's side by side for 8th, and Paul Clark trying to make moves this time.
I know. I'm so proud of him. Paul Clark, we normally talk about defending, but here he is now. Oh, okay, as we say that, he's just gone off track and run a little bit wide coming out of turn 3, and has unfortunately lost that momentum. He's got to look at whether or not he's going to squeeze Seth Brown here. Colin Wynn is sat in the middle of the track. That's really awkward from anybody behind, because neither man can get the vein. They're going to go 3 wide down into the corner. Oh, Paul Clark gets his elbows out. He did it. He absolutely did.
It has worked. Up to 9th place again.
No.
Space. Oh, that's Colin Wynn, and off the road goes Graham Brown to avoid. Colin Wynn goes around. Godden is involved, very much so now. And through goes one of the lap cars by the looks of things. Colin Wynn and Graham Brown both get going again, but it was a great battle. Unfortunately, a few spins at the end of it, though.
Such a shame. There was so much going on in that 5-pack. Wynn went in a little bit hot into 8, and it cost him on that run out, and then just unfortunately went off, and then Brown went off trying to avoid him, of course, and then unfortunately it all went wrong for the pair of them as well. So unfortunately for Colin Wynn and Graham Brown there, but an absolutely stellar job as we jump on board with Seth Brown in 10th place, with Paul Godden behind him, of course, from Sim Stickers there as well. So yeah. What a evening of racing here with a Radical Race Series. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, it certainly seems that this car is more susceptible to people going off than we saw even last season, really. I don't know quite how that's become the case, but in multi-car battles, we've seen a lot of people going off for whatever reason. And, it's been quite a dramatic one so far. Seth Brown has found himself inside the top 10. I'm pretty sure Seth Brown finished the last race 24th. And he's now inside the top 10. I could be wrong. Colin Wynn's gone back to the garage as well.
Yeah.
Not sure what's happened there.
He went off again.
He was going fine.
Yeah, no, he went off again. Hold on. So there he is there.
Final corner. And he's
in the wall.
Oh, he's gone and grabbed the wall as well. And just go straight back to pit lane. He must be very frustrated about the previous incident, because that on its own normally wouldn't push someone to just retire like that.
No, definitely not. John Silver. Hello, John. How are you? Thank you so much. Grizzly, of course. Looking forward to next week's Zandvoort already. Great track for the SR8. Now, Grizz, unless there's a fix that comes out for the SR10 this week, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think there's a hot fix coming out. We will be back in the SR10, mate. If it doesn't improve the car, then we'll be back in the SR8. Me personally, stay with the SR8. It's been amazing. But, you know, I'm not the league admin, so I can't dictate to that one. But so we may be back as well. So we'll see how we get on after this one here as well. But I think we could, to be honest, if Paul Glover is still going, I think we can grab Phil in for a quick chat here, Ewan.
Yeah, quite possibly. Phil, can you hear us?
I can, yeah. How are you guys?
Doing all right, thanks. You're currently down in 20th place, but let's talk about race 1 a little bit, because it went a bit better. How was that for you?
Yeah, it felt all right, actually, to be honest. Yeah, it's a shame about... I was sat on the grid at the start of this race, obviously in 2nd place, and it wouldn't go into gear. And then eventually it went into gear, and I hadn't realised, and I let my foot off the clutch. And now, of course, then I got a penalty. And I think I got squeezed out by Colin, I'm not sure, but anyway. So, I ended up going in the pits, and it filled the car right up full of fuel. I'm not having a good I'm not having a good day.
Well, top 10 early odds, all right. I mean, how are you enjoying the SR8 as well? A bit of a return to the...
I love it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I've had to turn the audio down a bit. She's quite a noisy beast.
It's quite noisy.
I feel you on that one, Phil. I've had to do the same thing on here as well.
Yeah, no, it's good fun, isn't it? I love it, actually. Whoa, as he says.
Oh no! It's going to be an end to mid-race interviews, this, because it's off the road.
Don't worry about it. I can't go any further down, can I? So don't worry about it. Oh, dear. Anyway, here we go.
Right, Phil, we'll let you go, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us, mate.
I'll speak to you a bit later.
See you later.
Cheers, buddies.
Thanks very much.
Oops.
Dear me.
Oops.
That's going to be the end of that, isn't it? Dear, oh dear.
He volunteers every single week there, mate. You know what I mean? He sits in the booth waiting for us. I just didn't realise it was going to cause him to go off track. However, Colin Wynn has come back with a refute on argument on that one. I think if you watch back, Phil, I was squeezed into you. So, you know, hey-oh.
To be fair, Phil said he didn't know what happened really either.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to see. So once everyone watches replays, I think everyone will understand quite what's happened. But yeah, unfortunately, it's an early return to the YouTube chat for Colin Wynn. We spoke to him a lot in the YouTube chat last season, unfortunately, because he wasn't able to drive. But now it's just, unfortunately, the end of the race. But good race one, and had a good start to this one as well. But an unfortunate end for Colin, and hopefully he'll be back stronger at Zandvoort in 1 week's time. But we're on to the final lap of this feature race, and it's Dan Webster, who's got just over a second to nurse ahead of Paul LeMay for the end of this race, for the end of this feature race.
Yeah, it's a shame that it didn't sort of come to light a little bit more. Maybe I was expecting a bit more battling in this feature. Paul Crabb is probably closest on track at the moment. He's still battling with Graham Brown, of course. Crabb's been involved and it's all gone a little bit wrong, but he's down in 13th, up 5 mind you, which is always good. But Dan Webster looks like he's got this one wrapped up as he heads around the carousel, to be fair.
Yep, full 65 points on offer here today, and it looks like Webster's going to grab every one of them. Paul LeMay and Jamie Bird, I think, were also on the podium in the first race, weren't they? Oh no, Maxwell was on there, wasn't he?
Webster, LeMay, Bird. No, it was Webster, LeMay, Bird. Same order.
Was it? Yeah, Maxwell was 4th, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
In the first race. So yeah, same podium again, which you really don't see very often. I don't think we have seen since this format came up for us. As there's the overtake. Paul Crabb to the inside of Graham Brown. The inside line of the carousel. Good move from him to get up into 12th place. Out front, though, after 11 laps, it's Dan Webster, who's going to take his second victory of the day and getting his Season 2 off to the best possible start in 2023. He wins again at Road America ahead of Paul LeMay and Jamie Bird joining him on the podium again. All of that was basically won by Dan Webster in the early laps of this race. He got through the carnage very, very efficiently early on, and he, didn't look back since.
Yeah, it was absolutely unbelievable. Webster's taking 2 victories, LeMay taking 2 seconds, and Bird taking 2 thirds. It's not often that we get to see that, as we can see all the cars coming across the line. Martina Ward there just going across the line in 18th with Wayne Palmer. Paul Crabb, I believe that was, coming under there as well. So, unlucky Colin. It's great to see you back, mind you. I'm pleased that you're back here on track. I do love a good chat with Colin Wynn. However, he is back in YouTube a little bit more earlier than I was expecting him to be. But there we go. No love lost, Cole. I still love you, mate. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you back on track, of course, here as well. SR10, what a load of beep. And then SR8 is all, well, he actually spells it out there. AWESOME, spelling awesome. So there we go.
Absolutely. Fantastic couple of races to start off this season. Still waiting for Darrell Taylor and Phil Glover to come across the line for the final time, by the way. And then we'll have your results up at the end. There's Darrell Taylor, who crosses the line 17th today. The final driver who finishes on the lead lap. Leaving, 7 of them off the lead lap. That's 8 of them. That's me. That's a long, long list. for a short race like this one, but it just shows you what on earth happened to start this one off. A bit of a flash of the lights, I think, from Phil Glover there across the line. It's a 20th place to go with his top 10 from the sprint race here this evening. But it's the same top three. Dan Webster from Paul LeMay, from Jamie Bird out front, with Robert Woodward fourth and Patrick Charlton inside the top five. Luke Maxwell recovered to sixth place ahead of Sergio De La Cruz. Then it was Paul Clark, who didn't get overtaken, surprisingly. Seth Brown and Paul Godden round out the top 10. Then it's Paul Crabb, Graham Brown, who exchanged positions on that final lap. George Gonzaga was 13th ahead of Simon Edwards, who recovered well after the opening chaos to get 14th. He finished just ahead of Phil Jocelyn. David Rosden was 16th ahead of Darrell Taylor, last driver on the lead lap. Martina Ward, Wayne Palmer and Phil Glover round out the top 10. Then those that didn't cross the line by themselves: Colin Wynn, Dave Kirkman, Michael LeMay, Damien G and Colin Campbell never took the start here today. Well, what a fantastic couple of races we have seen. Let's bring in Paul LeMay, since he's ready already to have a chat about those couple of races. Paul, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here. Double podium as well on this opening round of the new season. You must be pretty pleased with your opening round.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. Absolutely thrilled. Really, really tough. There's nothing I could do about Dan. He was just super fast. But I gave it everything I could, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Fantastic. Great fun. Car's fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How are you feeling about going back to the SR10 now? I mean, I think a lot of people would suppose to prefer the SR8, but how was it kind of after a few seasons driving the SR10? How was it to come back?
Yeah, it was great. I've always enjoyed driving the SR8, so it was great to give it back in it. But I would have happily have raced the 10. But it would have been better if it was last season's configuration, if you like, because I found it very difficult to drive on the limit.
Yeah, certainly. I've heard a lot of complaints about that. What's your outlook like on the season as a whole, Paul? How many are you going to be here for all the rounds? What's the situation with this season and what you aim to do?
Yeah, I'm going to be here for all the rounds, and I'll just take each race as it comes and just get lots and lots of practice in and see if I can mix it with the front guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we certainly will. We look forward to it. Paul, thanks very much for joining us, and congrats on a double podium here tonight.
Thanks, mate. Cheers now.
Thanks very much, Paul LeMay, on the podium twice here today, as well as Dan Webster with the 2 race wins in one, the best possible start of the season, and he joins us now. Dan, welcome to the booth. A double win on the start to Road America. Did you expect that to happen? I suppose not.
Definitely not. No, I wasn't expecting that at all.
I mean, how are you finding Road America in this week, in the return to the SR8, new car, and back to Road America again? How are you finding it in practice?
Pretty good, generally. I didn't do a huge amount of practice because I spent most of the week trying to make the SR10 work, and then we binned it, which was the right decision. But the SR8's always been my favourite car, so I felt in the groove pretty quickly. And I thought I was going well until I saw Luke's practice times.
It was very quick in practice, but couldn't quite string a race together. You did manage that. What's your outlook on the whole of this season? What's how many races are you going to be at? Are you aiming to just and those last couple of races last season, you sort of slipped away from championship contention after being there for most of the season. What's the plan this time?
Yeah, it's a bit of a messy season, I suppose. The last one. I'll try and do a bit better this time, and I'll try and stick around for all the races if I can.
Well, we certainly hope that you will do and will be up there and performing like this, because it's been a very good opening round for you. Congratulations, Dan, on a double win. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you go?
I think definitely the other guys in the league. Some really fantastic close racing in both those races, and the SR8s are really fragile. So the fact we all got through it and we all got to the end was pretty impressive.
Certainly was. Double win for you tonight, Dan. Congratulations, and thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Dan Webster there joining us after the race. Who to go with next? Jamie Bird, I guess, would be another sensible one. Another triple podium for this, something we really don't see very often. Welcome to the move, Jamie. Good to have you here. As I said, double podium. But what were you expecting before this round?
double top 10 at the best, to be honest. Yeah, a bit lucky. I was surprised I qualified that far up, and yeah, I thought something wrong with my sim because I could only see one row in front of me. But yeah, tried to make the best of it.
Absolutely, you did manage to do that. Obviously, chaos helped a little bit in race 2, but how was the overtaking in this SR8? I mean, you were here in the SR10 last season. How does it compare the racing that we've just seen tonight and compared to what we had last season?
I wish I could say what it was like at the front in the SR10 last season, but I'm not qualified for that. It's good fun. It's there's a little bit more room to move about. I think the car moves around underneath you a bit more, but you can lean on it a bit harder than the SR10. I feel anyway, which means you can push it a little bit further if you want to try and make an overtake.
Just finally, before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just the rest of the league. Done a great job last season, and I hope it's going to be the same this season. Cheers.
So too. Thanks very much, Jamie, for joining us, and congratulations on a double podium tonight.
Cheers, Ewan. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much, Jamie Bird. There talking to us. We've got another couple to come, by the way. Paul Godden has joined us here after, I think, managing a top 5 in the second race there. Although I don't remember.
Top 10.
Yeah. Top 10, sorry. It was Patrick Charlton who ran that top 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, Patrick Charlton.
Yeah, there we go. Get myself the right way around here. Paul, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here. In what I believe is your first round in the series. How did you find it here tonight?
Yeah, it's our first ever race in this series at all, and it was really good fun. Put some practice in this week into this car round here because we were I'm in an hour about what car to go for. It was I was putting a lot of effort into the 10, thinking we're going to run that, and then last minute I swapped to the 8. So the last couple of evenings have been a bit manic to try and find any pace whatsoever. And I was happy with my pace going into the evening, and the main thing was to finish. But unfortunately, race 1, I braked. I didn't expect the car in front to brake so hard, and I hit the grass, went on the grass, and then just understeered into Patrick, unfortunately, which I apologised to him for. And then after that, I had damage, and everyone just kept coming past. So I thought, well, I'm just going to finish this race, forget about it, learn from it. And then race 2 started at the back. I thought, take it nice and steady. And then there's a massive pile up on the start line. So I managed, because I was at the back, to actually stop the car, drive around it all, and carry on and finish 10th overall by keeping clean and keeping on the back of Seth Brown the whole time. He pulled me round it, luckily. So it was a good evening in the end.
Certainly was. Just how different was it though, changing from we, as you say, we were up and darling a little bit about SL10, SR8. How different was it in terms of changing your preparation for each of the two cars?
It's very different. So the 10, the braking zones are almost double the distance. You have to be a little bit more careful on the throttle as well. And obviously with the changes iRacing made, trying to find a setup, I found I had to run the car very soft to get anywhere, get any stability in the car. And then we done a back-to-back test, and first thing I noticed is I'm on the other side of the car. I'm on the right-hand side of the car and not the left-hand side of the car, and that really threw me off to start with. And then this, you just got to be aggressive, and obviously going from the 10 being all nice and calm and you're thinking you're doing all right, and then coming across to the 8 and having to drive it on the limit to actually get the times in was hard work. But I put the effort in this week and run with some of the guys, learned a little bit about the setup as well. Still got a long way to go with the setup, but overall I was happy with how the evening went, and really looking forward to the rest of the season.
We're certainly looking forward to seeing you out there as well, Paul. Congratulations on a good drive here tonight, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Paul Godden there, managing a top 10 in the second race. And finally have a quick chat here with Phil Glover. Phil, welcome to the booth as well. We spoke to you a couple of moments ago, but how was your evening overall?
Yeah, well, it was great to get back in the SR8. I've not driven it since the last session we had with the league. So, really nice. I was just saying it'd be good if we could take the SR8 engine and put it in the 10. That would make it sound a lot better for me. Although I know there's the work to do on it, actually, to be honest. But
Well, yeah, I absolutely. It's a bit of a change. There's no doubt about that. Just what's your outlook for the season, Phil? Are you going to be with us for all of the rounds, and what are you hoping for?
Yeah, I don't think I should necessarily miss any. Apart from maybe there might be. Mind you, when does the season end?
I don't,
So
right, you're testing me
probably
now.
shouldn't get in the way of holiday. Actually,
June the
thinking about
1st,
it.
Phil. June the
Yeah,
1st.
June the 1st.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I should be able to attend all of them.
Forward to seeing you there. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to quickly before you head off?
My mate Roy, and my dad's in hospital at the moment, so a big shout out to him. Hope he gets well soon.
Yeah, all best wishes to him. Phil, welcome. Welcome? Dear
Welcome.
me. Opposite. Thanks very much for chatting to us, Phil, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and don't worry about ever talking to me. It's my own fault when I'm driving. The more you talk to me, the better I'll get, I guess.
It was a good moment, good content. So we'll take that.
I'm sorry, Phil. I'm sorry. It was my idea to bring you in as well, so never mind.
Don't worry about it. All right, guys. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, Phil. Thanks very much for joining us.
Bye.
All right, Phil Glover there. After we cursed him, really.
We did. Yeah.
So, if any other drivers want to pop themselves in the waiting room while they're racing, then they are welcome to. That's not a great advertisement for it, but it's not always like that. We promise.
No, I don't think there's going to be. I don't think we're going to have a waiting list of drivers who are going to jump in the waiting room for a chat. To be honest, after we made Phil go. Well, technically, you made Phil go off. I just brought him in. Hey, look, I've got to pass the blame, Ewan. I've got to pass the blame. It's fine. Commentators curse in full force. I think we'll call it on that one.
It certainly was. What about this, the SR8 then and the race here at Road America? We've got a good season ahead of us. As long as we stick with this one, we could go back to the SR10. It could work fine after maybe a fix in the week, but we could be back the same time next week with the SR8s again. And the season is going to be an entertaining one based off this.
I reckon, and I'm just me, going off what everybody else has said. Keep the SR8, ditch the SR10, let's run the SR8 for the season until they fix the SR10 and then maybe come back next season. Just saying, I'm not an admin, cough cough, Martina Ward, and Darryl Taylor, Graham Brown, but I think we should keep the SR8. So that's what I'm saying. Colin Wynn's agreed with me already. Me and Colin are on the same page. Keep the SR8, ditch the 10, and let's have some fun because last season was amazing, and I think we can make this season amazing as well.
I think Simon Edwards is one that disagrees with you. Really doesn't enjoy the SR8 actually, and so he's going to be disappointed. But I think he'll soldier on through this season, and should get better. And as he just mentioned in the Discord, did get on top of it as well due to towards the end of the SR8's kind of reign. But he's going to have to get used to it once again if we continue with that. We'll have all the updates, of course, next week, same time, same place. Here on the JPB YouTube channel and the Radical Race Series channel as well. Thanks very much for everybody for joining us here this evening, though. It's been a pleasure to have you. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt, and until we see you next week at Zandvoort, it's goodbye for now.
Jungle.